Përshëndetje dhe mirë se erdhët në program. Situata me virusin korona në vend që të përmirësohet pas javësh të tëra me masa të rrepta, ajo po përkeqësohet. Por paralelisht me rritjen e numrit të infektuarve, po rritet edhe numri i atyre që janë mosbesues si ndaj virusit, ashtu edhe ndaj vetë masave. Arsyet e këtij mosbesimi janë të shumta, që nga mos sqarimi i duhur për sëmundjen, mos zbatimi i masave, mungesa e veprimit të autoriteteve për shkelësit e masave, por edhe konfuziteti që krijuan përfaqësuesit politik duke u treguar tolerant, duke nxitur apo në disa raste edhe duke mos zbatuar vetë masat e parashikuara nga ekspertët. Dhe në një anë kishim dhe kemi mjekët që bëjnë thirrje për një gjë dhe në anën tjetër është politika që jep interpretimet e saj. Pikërisht këtu, roli jon i mediave ka peshë të madhe. Misioni ynë të prezantojmë faktet është për të vetmin qëllim informimin e duhur të qytetarëve, juve të dashur shikues, dhe përsëri për të vetmin qëllim mbrojtjen e shëndetit tuaj dhe tonin ose të gjithëve në këtë rast. Disa herë, faktet mund të mos na pëlqejnë, por para fakteve nuk mund të ikim. Dhe, nga të gjitha informacionet me ekspert, të huaj, vendas, mjek që punojnë këtu apo dhe jashtë, personeli mjekësor, madje dhe studiues që i njohim personalisht apo privatisht apo dhe profesionalisht, që po zbulojnë vaksinën e me të cilët kemi komunikuar, të gjithë thonë se virusi ekziston. Është prezent dhe sëmundja krijon pasoja. Fjala e ekspertëve për fat të keq u mbyt në kakofoninë e debateve politike dhe si rrjedhoi zotrojnë spekulimet të cilat bashkë me lajmet e rrejshme krijuan edhe më shumë huti tek qytetarët. Por s'ka me shëndetin dhe sfida s'është veç e jona, ajo është globale. Prandaj në këtë betejë si ndaj virusit vet, ashtu edhe ndaj pretendimeve se në fakt nuk është i vërtet, gjithë bota syt i ka kthyer nga Organizata Botërore e Shëndetësisë. Edhe kjo organizat ka pasur njoftime dhe rekomandime të ndryshme, por për të sqaruar dhe për të mësuar më shumë për punën e saj, por edhe për vetë rekomandimet më të fundit, si dhe për marrëdhënien që ka me qeverinë këtu, e ftuar sot në program është shefja e zyrës së Organizatës së Botërore të Shëndetësisë në Republikën e Maqedonisë së Veriut, zonja Џијан Tawilah. Dr. Tawilah, hello and thank you for doing this interview. It's a pleasure to have you on this program. Unfortunately, we have to do it via Skype due to the conditions.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you very much for Alsat and for you, Mr. Rashidi, for also coming to the right sources for the information and to, step down a little bit this cacophony of information that you have talked about. Thank you very much for contacting us.
I hope we will clarify a lot of the issues. So it's not very often for you to have you in the media, so it's really a pleasure. And that's why, first of all, Doctor, I want to ask you, what is the role of WHO globally, and especially in North Macedonia? Let's explain the role of this organization first.
Thank you very much. Our World Health Organization is an organization under the umbrella of the United Nations, and it is a specialized organization that will look at health specifically. And also the aim of the organization is to keep people healthy, and also it has a mission to promote healthy living, and to keep the world safe from emergencies like the ones we are seeing now, the COVID emergency, and to also serve as good information and also lessons learned and guidance on how to address the health of the more vulnerables, and usually these are people who are more elderly people, younger people, people who are migrants, or also people who are not able to access health care. So we look at all these aspects and we try to work with every government in every country to help to improve the health system and the access to health care. We would like to see people also prevented from getting diseases such as communicable disease, the things that we are seeing now, but also non-communicable diseases, and how to reduce diabetes, hypertension, and other problems.
So it is safe to say that basically you gather information from the world experts in one place, and then you spread this information in order to help the people. This is the main thing.
Yes, one of our, or two of our major functions is to look at the surveillance, to survey the situation, to monitor the state of safety of health in the whole globe, and to be able to support in knowledge, spread the knowledge and exchange experiences. But we do engage as well, specifically in research and in setting the guidance and the norms. And these are guidance that all the countries agree on. We are an intergovernmental organization that works basically with a representation from the ministries of health, and they decide whether the guidance that we are issuing is acceptable to the countries and can be used. So this is basically, we gather at times. We have large networks of scientists working with us. We have also WHO collaborating centers. One of them is in Macedonia, actually, in Shire. It is the WHO collaborating center for occupational health. So we help directly at country level with reviewing also the strategies of the country and ensuring that appropriate medical and protective equipment, lab supplies, and experts can come here and support the country as needed.
Okay, this is the overview, and thank you for that, because it's important for people to understand that actually WHO, it works in the ground and gathers the information. So in this context, Dr. Tawilah, I want to ask you now specifically, how is the WHO suggesting steps on this virus? How is communicating with experts in order to conclude on the specific needs? And this question is important because sometimes people are suggesting that the information that comes from WHO, and we will discuss about some of the measures later on, are not necessarily the same, or time after time they change. So how this suggestion come up? Our
communication changes according to the situation. So it's very important to understand why the communication messages are changing. Is related to how the virus behaves. And remember, this is a virus that we know about only since January globally, and in this country since 26 February, when we have seen the first case of the COVID-19. So this virus is a totally new virus. It is highly dangerous virus, and it does not behave like any other infectious pathogen that we have seen so far. It is a particular situation, and the approach to this virus will vary according to the phase of transmission where the country is. So when we have seen that the transmission in North Macedonia was decreasing tremendously, and we started having extremely few cases, even one case a day or less than one case a day, it was time to open the restrictions. But then we see a flare-up, and now we have to change the instructions. So first of all, we cannot compare countries because the virus behaves in its context. It will react according to how the people behave. It will react also according to how the country is ready to offer health care, and also if they have enough health doctors and nurses. And also it will react according to availability of protective equipment. So situations differ. This is why you see that every day in WHO, but also in the Ministry of Health, and also in many countries every day there is a briefing from the authorities to explain what is happening on that day, because we expect changes on a daily basis.
So this is also globally. This is very important to underline, because the disease, the virus is new, and therefore sometimes the information changes. That's what you want to say, yes? Okay.
The thing that have not changed from the start is that the public health protective measures. We know that this virus is transmitted from human to human. So we know that the only way that we can cut the spread is by really distancing people. And we have been saying that you need to distance yourself from others, keep at least 1 meter in a safe environment. And if you are in unsafe environment, for example, you are in a mall or in a hospital, etc., keep 2 meters, or a clinic. You need to keep 2 meters away from others. You put your mask when you are not sure about the environmental protection that you have, you don't know who is around you, and also you keep on washing your hands. So this has not changed. These are basic public health measures that apply to all phases, because we are going to live with the virus for a long time. It's not a virus that's going to just disappear. It will be amongst us for a long time, and we have to be prepared to have a new normal. That means a new behavior to protect ourselves, protect our children, parents, the family, and also our own communities.
Yes, but Dr. Tawilah, what do you say to those people that they say the virus doesn't exist, to those people that they don't believe that the virus exists?
I truly say that if they think the virus doesn't exist, how can they explain the evidence that we have around us? How can they explain what has been happening this past week in North Macedonia and other countries who have relaxed the necessary restrictive measures without really making sure that the people are ready to behave in a responsible way? So people around us are very sick. People are being admitted to hospitals without being able even to breathe. The healthcare workers on the front line, as well as the action being taken around the world, are explained by the spread of this virus. The virus has been isolated, identified, and I don't think any country would like to see its economy collapsing just because of a rumor or because a virus doesn't exist. So I want to, unfortunately, I have to say, the virus exists. It has been isolated. It causes horrible disease, and it is a killer virus, and it is amongst us. And we need to be alert and protect ourselves and the others.
Right here, you say that it's very dangerous. Can you please explain why it's so dangerous? Because some people say it's just another flu, or it's a flu that it's similar to some other flus. But some experts, you according also, saying that it's very dangerous. Let's explain why.
I think at the start of the epidemic, people did not know what to expect. And then we started seeing a lot of death and a very severe disease that is caused by this virus. First of all, we have to understand that the virus is a totally new virus. So, but what we have discovered is that we have never seen something like this among the human population before. So absolutely no one is immune or protected against this virus because we haven't been exposed to it before. So there is no natural immunity against this virus. At the same time, this is a virus that spreads easily by the droplets. So even if you are talking, if you are coughing, sneezing, or even clearing your throat, you will be able to project this virus by droplets. We are very grateful that these droplets don't travel in the air, so they are not like an aerosol transmission, but they can drop a few meters. So that means that if we are distancing ourselves, we are fine. But what is important is that also, and unlike influenza, the virus can be is present in people who are completely asymptomatic, so they don't show any symptoms. They don't cough, they don't have fever, they don't have dyspnea, difficulty in breathing, so they don't show these issues. And this, by being just a carrier, you can also transmit, although we think that transmission happens mostly when you are symptomatic coughing, but even talking can transmit the virus. This is why the masks are important if they are used with the other measures as well.
So I want to
also, I have to say that, let me tell you that
yes.
it is 10 times more deadly than the influenza. Yeah. And it starts on the upper respiratory infections, but it is not, in most cases, when the people are getting sick, it goes down to the lungs, but also it goes down to all organs. So it causes kidney damage, heart damage, brain damage, vessels damage. It is a very damaging and really a killer virus.
So basically, it attacks all organs. What happens to the human body with this virus, comparing with other flus that people are saying that, yeah, it's just another flu?
The particularity of this virus is that it does not only attack directly your body and organ, because it is a new virus, and also because of the specificity of the virus, it creates like a storm of reaction in the body. So both the virus as well as this big reaction of the body, which we call a kinetic reaction, but anyway, this big reaction of the body will attack your lungs, your bronchial tubes, and it will lead to a very severe pneumonia, to the point where even if you put a respirator or a mechanical ventilator, the oxygen cannot enter because the lungs are very damaged. So they're just not working, even if you push the oxygen inside. So it causes severe damage to the lungs, but also it causes the blood to clot and to make embolus everywhere in the organs, and this damages and causes severe illness, or it causes death, unfortunately, in 4% of cases.
Yeah. So basically, it's a very dangerous virus, and the disease is serious. But Dr. Tawilah, you mentioned asymptomatic cases just before, and here in the public reaction in North Macedonia, just yesterday it was discussed a lot. The fact that WHO announced that coronavirus patients without symptoms aren't driving the spread of the virus so far. I'm just reading what one of the reports, yes. Media reports said. So let's explain a little bit these asymptomatic cases. Should we not worry if, for example, we have the virus and we don't perhaps spread it away, or should we still worry and take measures?
You know, if you are talking to an individual, I would tell the person, the individual, that please take your precautions every time. Every time you go out, you have to look around you as if the virus is near you. So take your precautions. Put the mask, wash your hands. Mask alone doesn't help. And if you put the mask down like this, having the nose up, not covering well your nose and mouth, you are not doing anything. You are just, it's a joke. So what is important is to use the protective knowledge that we have. Use it. It's easy to use and it is simple. Having said this, if you take at a large number, you know, WHO look at the situation by probability, by looking at its most common. The easiest way to the virus to be able to be transmitted is to attach to the droplets, and then it can be projected to the other person if you are carrying the virus. So if you are not having these projections, etc., you have less chance to transmit it to somebody else. So this is what we are seeing. But I want to say that it's not only by droplets. It transmits also by touching any of the surfaces that are infected. And this is why we are saying the best thing is to distance yourself. The second best thing is to wash your hands all the time you touch something that you think it's not in your home, it's outside, it might be infected. And the third thing is use a mask when you think you cannot be distancing. So, and also when you are sick yourself, even at home, put it so you can protect your children and your parents, whoever is there. And also when you are caring for a sick person, you better put this mask. So this is what we are saying, and these basic instructions have not changed since we started. So what I want to tell you as well, that also this is something for the people who might be carriers. They don't know they are carriers, but we can protect them and protect others from becoming carriers by really applying those measures, because the virus will have sequelae not only on those who show the symptoms or are sick or go to the hospital. It can have also sequelae on those who are asymptomatic, who get the virus, because the virus really have effect or can also lead to deterioration of some of the organ functions. For example, as I said, kidney function, heart function. It can increase diabetes. It can increase also hypertension because of this. It has a terrible effect on mental health. We have seen the effect also of the restrictions. So the virus has many multiple side effects, not only by being sick, but also by attacking our own normal life. And we have to be aware of this, and we have to be really to participate in breaking the chain of the spread of the virus.
So basically, Dr. Tawilah, basically, regardless that there might be some cases which are asymptomatic, and even though some experts are saying these people maybe cannot spread the virus, we still have to be careful. This is what you're saying. So in this regard, I want to ask you that one argument has been that the virus is losing its strength. Can we say this, or what does it mean? Is it truth? Can we say that kind of thing?
So far, no, maybe it's wishful thinking, but no, this is not true, because of course viruses, when they multiply, they can become more virulent or they can become less virulent. This is what we know about the viruses in general. But the observations so far and the lab testing and the genetic sequences of the virus tell us that the virus that causes this disease, the COVID-19 disease, does not appear to be changes at the present time.
Okay. Dr. Tawilah, I propose here to make a short break, and we will return to the program to discuss especially the protection measures and do you agree with the measures that the government has taken or not. Do të bëjmë një shkëputje këtu për të rikthyer më një herë në program me doktor Џијан Тавилах, e cila është shefja e zyrës së OBSH-së këtu në Maqedoninë e Veriut. Do të diskutojmë pikërisht masat të cilat po i ndërmerr qeveria dhe nëse ato sipas OBSH-së dhe sipas doktoreshës janë në përputhje të duhur ose janë masat e duhura ose jo, por pas pak. Jemi rikthyer në program ku e ftuar është Џијан Тавилах, doktoresha Џијан Тавилах, shefja e zyrës së OBSH-së në Republikën e Maqedonisë së Veriut. Sigurisht që gjithë opinioni botror i ka syt te kjo organizat. Thank you once more, Dr. Tawilah, and then we will continue and we will focus this interview now to the protection measures. And I want to ask you directly, do you support the measures taken so far, like lockdown or closing spaces that usually are frequented by a lot of people, like shopping malls or coffee bars or restaurants? Do you support these measures?
I will answer you very frankly and openly and directly. Yes, I think the health authorities in this country have the full support of WHO by every decisions that they have taken, and there is a reason for that. And the reason is that WHO is working very closely with the health authorities in North Macedonia in order to ensure that key public health measures remain in place to deal with the challenge of lockdowns and also what would be the next steps. So we monitor all these measures so far, and we have seen and we have the evidence that if we do not keep the basic measures in place, it will be very difficult to control this epidemic. And we have seen it that actually what is needed is to answer three questions. The first question is, did we control the epidemic? Do we have a healthcare service that is able to take care of people? Do we have a proper way to identify and isolate the persons who are carrying or have symptoms? So these are the three major questions that we need to ask. Of course, it's more complex than this, but basically this is the situation. And these three elements were properly answered 10 days ago, when the measures have started to relax. But what we need to understand that relaxing the constrictive measures is the restrictive measures does not mean relaxing your own protective measures, your own protection and the protection of your families. So there are basic public health measures that are responsibility of each one of us to really take the right individual protection, which is distancing, masks, and washing hands. So this is what maybe did not pass clearly to the people, but from what I see, it has passed very clearly, but there was no response, there is a denial, and this is really did hurt the situation. North Macedonia was one of the countries that
Si duket kemi përsëri probleme teknike të shkurtra, jam i sigur që do ta rikthejmë doktoreshën Tawilah më njëherë në program, por një rikujtim pra doktor Џијан Tawilah është shefja e zyrës së OBSH-së në Republikën e Maqedonisë së Veriut dhe ajo është duke shpjeguar se po mbështet masat që janë marrë që kanë të bëjnë me mbylljen e ambienteve ku njerëzit frekuentojnë ose ku janë më shpesh së bashku. Gjithashtu edhe mbështet edhe orët policore, pra edhe gjithë këto masat restriktive me të vetmi qëllim që virusi mos të përhapet. Në qoftë se doktor Tawilah e kemi në linjë, të vijojmë intervistën, regjia? Po, Dr. Tawilah është sërish në linjë. Dr. Tawilah, we have these technical difficulties due to the situation, but still we will continue with the interview. You mentioned measures that people should not forget, like washing hands or wearing masks. And when you discuss or we discuss about masks, I want to ask you, WHO firstly was suggesting that masks should not be used or only should be used when in contact with affected people. But now the suggestion is that we should use them all the time. Why this change of the approach? Sometimes this change of approaches confuses people.
I understand that people can be confused. But I can tell you that for the basics, WHO did not change the approach. But we are saying from the start that putting masks or putting them the wrong way is not going to protect you by itself. You need to put the mask, but you need also to distance yourself from others, and you need to wash your hands. The mask alone is not protective. So this is what we are saying from the start. What is new in the guidelines is that we considered also the textile masks. So this is the masks that are done by the regular textiles at home, and we have now specific indications on how to make them and how to use them and how to wash them. And we also increased some of our guidance on the specific situations where you have to be very careful while using the masks. So now we are saying you need to use it in situations where you cannot distance yourself from others. For WHO, we are very confident that distancing yourself 1.5 meters from others or up to 2 meters is is a careful thing to do to protect yourselves. If you feel you're not that protected, you are in a situation where you are taking a taxi, taking public transportation and others, try to distance yourself, but keep your mask very well on your nose and your mouth. Because if you keep them on your neck or on your hair, it will not help at all.
I want to ask you here a very direct question, and the reason why is because when we talk about protection, personal protection, we face people they do not believe that the virus exists, as we said it, and also there were so many rumors and speculation. So my direct question to you is this: is the virus created in laboratory?
There are no evidence so far that the virus is created in laboratory. Then it has to be a genius laboratory, because the virus behavior cannot be predicted. The little changes that are undergoing within the virus are really very natural, and all the evidence we have so far from many laboratories in the world indicate that this virus is naturally occurring.
So maybe people do not understand, but scientists, how they can see when something is created in laboratory, some kind of virus, and some kind of virus that it's natural, like this one. How can one see this?
It is difficult to explain to everybody, but this is related to the composition of the virus and the sequence of the nucleic acid that is available in the virus. So they can know, they can see. They know the methodologies for, creating genome sequences, which is the nucleic made up of the virus. So they know, and because there are not 100 methodologies to do something, so they know the methodologies, and definitely the virus is naturally occurring.
So basically, the scientists would know the structure of the virus, if it's for real or not. That's what we are trying to say. So it's easily detected, yes?
Well, not easily. It requires a lot of technology.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean easily in the sense when it's something which is created and something which is natural.
Actually, the scientists took some time to really give this conclusion. It didn't come just like this. So you don't look at it under the microscope and you say, this is it. It takes a lot of studies, and it took them about 6 weeks to 2 months to really give us this result.
In this case, when we are discussing speculation, I also want to ask you about a lot of fake news or different issues like linking the virus with 5G or mass vaccination, or in some cases there were speculation that people would take money only to say, or somebody was giving to them money only to say that they are infected, or some of their relatives died of coronavirus. Do you have some kind of information? Are these speculation real? What do you say about this?
I can say that you are right. What we have seen is that this is a particular virus that comes also with a lot of rumors. And because we have the means to just put whatever comes to our mind into the internet and people read the internet. What I can say is that the virus is real, the virus has been isolated, the virus is not related to 5G or any other reason. We know that the source of the virus initially, somehow, there is an animal source of the virus that has caused the spread. What is important for everyone to know is that the virus transmits from one person to the other. It has a human transmission, and it is not related to any other extraordinary situation around that. The transmission is simple. It transmits by coughing, sneezing, touching surfaces that are affected, or shaking hands, and also it transmits by not observing the hygiene, washing hands, and others. So it is an extraordinary virus that causes a big disease, but the way to fight it is simple. And this is why I tell people to go to the right sources to get the information, not to get the information from the internet without really checking whether the source is reliable. Another thing I want to say that a lot of people do compare countries as well through the information available through the news or the internet. The situation of each country is particular, and the virus will behave in each country a bit differently than the other countries. In a sense, it all depends how much we give the virus the space or the possibility and the means to transmit and to infect from one person to the other. So also the behavior of the virus within a country will depend on the particularity and specificities of the country itself.
But in this case, can we say that the country, North Macedonia, has done enough, also WHO in this case has done enough to educate the people? Because we have this conflicting situation. We have experts, we have doctors, we have professors that they saying the virus exists, and on the other side, or on the other side of the internet, let's say, we have people that, or even in the street, people that they say that the virus doesn't believe. So what should we do to educate the people?
So far, there has been a rigorous risk communication campaign. What we need is to separate politics from reality, from the facts. So we should not let anybody tell us that this situation is not real, you can do whatever you want. We need to also exercise our own judgment and really use our heads in looking at the situation. Nothing can explain or forgive the number of people that had to go to hospitals just because of letting down our guard and letting down our protection at the community level. I want to tell the people, just look around you. Have a judgment for your own. Even if you listen to us, have a judgment of your own. And you can see that what we are saying is right. WHO works very closely with the health authority in this country, and we monitor the situation on a daily basis. And we have seen it. I mean, the Macedonians can also look at what they have seen in their own country before. They have seen that the virus can be controlled with the simple measures of distancing. Physical distancing is important. And there is no question about it. We have the numbers that talk about this. So rely on the numbers, rely on what you see, rely on the realities and the facts. This is what I can see.
So I'm sorry I'm going to ask this question, but we have to convince in this sense the people that the virus exists. So WHO does not give money to authorities, and then authorities give money to people to say they are infected.
I really, I mean, this is unimaginable. It's a big imagination. It's like a film story. Frankly, I have to laugh. But what I can tell, and to be serious about it, I would like the mass media, I would like Alsat and other media channels to go to the hospitals and to show how bad the situation of the patients who are infected by this virus. 25% of all those who carry the virus will be admitted to a hospital, will have symptoms that will require oxygen, will require mechanical ventilation. The virus is bad to a point where you cannot keep a patient lying on his back. You have to put a patient lying on his tummy in order to decrease the weight of the heart from the lungs. It is that bad, and I wish that while keeping the confidentiality of everybody and the patients, that the mass media really look at what is going on when a person is severely sick.
I must say to you here, Dr. Tawilah, the Alsa television was and did, let's say, a reportage with the patient last week. Our colleague Arta Tahiri and other colleague of television went to the hospital, but even then, in that case, there were a lot of speculation or a lot of people that did not believe with what they saw. That's why we raised this question And it's
Yes,
important to actually ask you how important or how dangerous or how real the virus is.
Frankly, I think the question that people have to ask, whether a healthcare worker, a doctor or a nurse is very happy to be separated from their families, to work day and night under this awful gear. If you put a mask 1 hour, you are complaining. You are a normal person, you put a mask 1 hour, you are complaining. But when you see these healthcare workers devoted to their patients, putting a whole gear, they cannot put it more than 2 hours. It is suffocating, and they are doing their jobs. Now tell me, what is the reason for this? Is it just to spread rumors? This is totally illogical, and I think people have to be really taking things into hand and really be aware and stop lying to themselves. And please separate the politics. Solidarity is needed. It's not by spreading lies that you can make your country better. Nobody wants the economy to be affected. It affects everybody. And the virus affects everybody. If you are spreading rumors, the virus will affect you and your children and your loved ones. So this is extremely important to understand. It cannot be that this is a fake virus or a fake people taking money saying this, because the virus has devastating effect. Nobody wants to be in this situation. Nobody, not even me, not WHO. We have been working day and night to make sure that the information reaches people and the right action is taken. And nobody wants to continue this way. We really want to return to a semi-normal that we can all get our lives back.
Okay, on this note, we will make a short break again here, and then we'll continue to see a little bit the future. What is WHO says about the vaccine or the other measures taken in the future. Do të bëjmë një shkëputje këtu dhe do të rikthehemi me pjesën e tretë të programit, ku e ftuar është Џијан Tawilah, pra shefja e zyres së OBSH-së këtu në vend, dhe për të diskutuar në fakt të ardhmen kur do zbulohet vaksina ose kur mund të ketë një imunizim më të madh të popullsisë, por pas pak. Programi 200, ku e ftuar është doktor Џијан Tawilah, shefja e zyres së OBSH-së këtu në Maqedoninë e Veriut. Dr. Tawilah, let's discuss a little bit about the future. And of course, everybody is talking about the vaccines. A lot of countries are working on the vaccine. So my question to you is, what is WHO experts are saying about this? When can we have the vaccination, max vaccination?
It is very difficult to predict when we can have the vaccination. So far, what we know is that 8 vaccines globally out of 250 different formulas have passed the safety phase of testing, and now they are starting to test the efficacy of the vaccine, which means whether the vaccine gives the protection that is needed to really protect the people or not. So we are in this situation now. We don't know when the results are coming, but it has been it has been very quick putting things together and working, because actually the people who are working on these vaccines have been working on the SARS-1 before and working on the Ebola virus. So they have the technology, and now they are trying to take this technology and apply it to SARS-2, which is the virus responsible for COVID-19 disease. So it is ongoing, but we have to wait some time. And in order to protect ourselves until that time, we will need to have really individual protection followed carefully.
But should we have more testing? Is that one of the ways authorities and people to feel more safe?
Testing alone is not enough. You need to have testing, of course, and we always advise to increase testing as much as possible. So you can see that your country is one of the countries that is testing tremendously, and we are very proud of this public health activity. And then you need to test, but those who are positive, you need also to test their contacts. And Macedonia is doing a great job by testing even at the 6th level of the contact. So they're not only testing first level of contact, they're testing the contacts of contacts and really chasing the virus. So the only way you can chase the virus and stop its transmission so far is by identifying those who are carrying the virus, whether they are symptomatic or not, is by tracing their contacts, isolating everybody who needs to be isolated for 2 weeks to cut the chain of transmission, and the virus by 2 weeks will disappear mostly from the person, and also to make sure that those who need care get the care early enough and not late in the disease, where it will be difficult to give the appropriate care. So these are the things that we say from the start of this epidemic. We have been saying, and we continue to say. So these are the basic public health measures.
So
Test,
Dr. Tawilah,
trace, and treat.
I want to ask you here about the people who probably had the disease and they don't have it anymore. They have the antibody, as they say it. Are they safe? Should they feel safe if you had the disease and then you don't have it anymore?
The virus does not behave in a way that we can predict it. So far, those who have had the disease, most of them, if they don't have an immunological problem, develop antibodies. But what is the relation of the presence of antibodies to conferring immunity, to give the immunity, we still don't know. So this is something which is being now followed up, and trying to find the relationship between the presence of antibodies in the person and also whether this is protective. And remember, we don't have enough time from the start of the disease till now to have appropriate time frame to make decisions or scientific conclusions. So we are dealing with a virus of 4 months, 5 months of age. So it is very difficult to have enough perspective to say whether this is protective or not. But we know that antibodies are formed, but we don't know if they are protective. And this is the situation now. And so this means that the person, even if they have had the disease and they have been, they are cured from the disease, they need to keep on taking the precautions and to behave as any other person protecting themselves.
So basically, in this case, as you said before, we have to live with this new norm where we have to take care about our health and about our behavior in the public. In the end of this program, I want to ask you about some other question, because you mentioned the authorities, you communicate with them. You said that you agree with their measures, but North Macedonia is in a very peculiar moment right now, in a pre-election period. And having in mind only the health issue, do you think, in your opinion, that it is safe to organize the elections?
Thank you. This is a very important question for the people to understand. Now, WHO cannot comment on this particular event, as you have rightly said, but we can say that we have guidelines on what to do in mass gathering, and we can also, consider this event as a mass gathering. So we do have the recommendations on what to do. What is important is to keep the people separate, to keep the hygienic measures, and to keep the distancing, and to make sure that there is no mixing of the people while doing the election. I believe that if we take these measures, people can be protected, but of course nothing is risk-free 100%. So whatever we do to protect ourselves while we go to our daily business, or while we go to the mall or to the market, we need to make it very much available within mass gathering situations.
So if I may say, rephrase it, if it's this election, if they are held in health protocols with the distance and with the measures that you explain, then it is possible for them to be held. I mean, I'm asking these questions only from the perspective of health issues.
We have seen other countries holding these mass gathering during the COVID campaign. And we know that if people take their utmost measures, they will be protected. It's less about preparing the environment. Well, of course, it's very important to prepare the environment, but it all goes to the behavior of each person. So each person who wants to be there, who wants to do their election duties, if it is decided, when it is decided, need to understand what are the basic ways to protect themselves: physical distancing, proper use of mask, not under the nose, covering the nose and mouth, and also washing hands and not touching anything. Don't touch your face. So these are the most important things. And if you are sick, don't go out. Don't go out. Don't go to the clinic. If you feel sick in having those symptoms of COVID, keep your mask all the time if you have to go to a clinic and declare that you have those symptoms. And this is why also you don't turn the clinic into another bomb of transmission of the spread of the virus.
Now, another question here for you. In this context, perhaps, does your organization have maybe information from other countries after they held the elections? Were they were people more risked, or were number of infections, were they higher? I don't know if I was clear with this question, but my idea is that do you have any data that says that gathering in an election process actually raised the number of people who were infected?
We don't make research and control of this. It is not our job to. But what we see, I mean, if we observe the general events in a country, we can see, and you can see it in Macedonia, when you have had these mass gatherings and the relaxation of the restrictions, plus the relaxation of the individual protection. We have seen the spread that has happened, that has solicited again to close down, to have lockdowns, and again to go from zero. So we don't go into specific measures, but what we know is that we can correlate mass gathering events and relaxation events with the increase in infection if the proper measures are not taken. That we know for sure.
And in this context, Dr. Tawilah, I know that you are not keen to comment political debate here, but it was important to underline that some politicians did not obey, or also with their statements made it possible people not to believe so much, or some people not to obey the measures or restrictions. What do you say to them in general, or to other people that with their behavior they're actually helping people not to understand the seriousness of this disease?
I want to tell them that, and tell anybody, I mean, politicians or not, or religious leader, or just a mayor in a place, or anybody, head of a shop, anybody. I want to tell them that going back to the lockdown situation at this point of time is very catastrophic to the economy and to the community. It's more catastrophic than the first times when we started to do the restrictions, because it has a more impact than the first lockdown. People are tired, people are mentally exhausted, and also the businesses are down. And they are not doing a favor by propagating fake news. It's very important, and it is their job to protect their own communities and to protect their own people, their own families. And there is nothing more dangerous than this virus.
Dr. Tawilah, in the end of this interview, I just mentioned before that you are Lebanese. So on a personal note, how do you coping with the situation, being apart from your family and somehow stuck here?
First of all, I am among friends. North Macedonians are very friendly, very cooperative. I'm lucky to work with people at the Ministry of Health and Public Health, and they are very open, other colleagues and partners. So I'm glad I am in this country and not in a country where the situation might be worse. At least you have enlightened people, scientific people following evidence, and they are great partners to WHO. So I'm very proud of this partnership. On a personal note, of course, everybody would like to go back to their regular life, to their normal life, but we have to be understanding that the situation is serious. And I personally follow what are the instructions of the government. As you see, I am teleworking. We did not open our office yet. We know that there is a community transmission actually now in Skopje, and we are very careful. I'm responsible about my staff, so I'm very careful about them being protected. And also, I am concerned. I cannot deny that I am very concerned about North Macedonia, because I would like to see this country at its best of shape. North Macedonians have been able to fight this virus. They have come to a very low level of spread and transmission. They did great, but of course, you mentioned politics. It's one of them. Denial is another thing. And I think they should be more aware and attentive and use their judgment to see that the situation is really very serious. So if you want to protect yourselves, please, simple gestures can help you. The mask, the distancing, don't go to crowds, don't gather together, keep separate, and it is only temporary, and you will see the things will go only better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Џијан Тавилах, for this interview. As I said in the beginning, we had to do it via Skype due to the measures, but probably we will have other opportunities to discuss this issue live in the studio, so thank you once more. Për atë dashur teleshikues, ishte doktor Џијан Tawilah, shefja e zyrës së Organizatës Botërore të Shëndetësisë në Republikën e Maqedonisë së Veriut, me gjithë pikpamjet e saj rreth situatës me koronavirusin dhe COVID-19. Këtu programin do ta përmbyllim, pas pak janë lajmet e televizionit Lartsat, ndërkohë bashkë do të ritakohemi sërish të martën tjetër. Deri atëherë, mirupafshim.